Yo, welcome to Social 19, the pandemic fall 2020 version. And man, who would have imagined we'd be here? But we are here, and we are on Twitch. And so some of you are gamers, so you know all about Twitch. Let me just say at the outset, it's definitely, we want you to be part of the chat. So please do. And that means you need to have a Twitch account. It doesn't cost anything. Take you a hot minute. You don't have to use your Penn State ID. It's fine. Any email is good. But listen, you have to just follow the rules, right? Make sure you do that. And the rules are rules. Like, just be kind. You know, don't do what we typically do out in the world. And whatever. We'll come back to that. We'll have plenty of time. But anyway, I'm Sam Richards, and I am coming from Pond Lab. Note that I have my masks, but I am the only one in this room. And so I don't need a mask because I'm the only one here, and the door is closed and all is good. So in any case, welcome. It's going to be a really interesting semester, I am quite sure. Here are a few things you need to know. And one thing is social19.org is the website. So most of you already have that. If you added late, maybe you don't. And there are two emails that are really key. The staff email at social19.org, and that is communicating with Lily, who you will meet tomorrow. And Packback at social19.org, that's communicating with Murtada, and you will meet him tomorrow. And so, and I get, Jeff, I'm like sort of rocking with the cameras, right? We're on 2, we got it. So, yeah, use those. Don't use Canvas. We don't do the Canvas messaging thing. You really got to use these emails, and you may never get responded to if you use Canvas. You probably won't get responded to. So let's go with, let's talk about the syllabus really fast while we're on the syllabus issue. It's all over the place. It's on the website. It's on Canvas in several different places. It's just floating around the world somewhere. Who knows where it is? I think you can find copies around campus. I have no idea. But the point is, that's the syllabus. It's a fairly long document in 10-point font. And what we want is for you. Look at this. I'm going to do this is the weather thing. Look at this. Scroll it up. Scroll it down. Like, look at that. Look at that font. I mean, this is embarrassing, really. But what you need to know is you got to read it. And then there's a syllabus quiz that's due, I think, in a couple weeks. But listen, man, you even get a couple attempts. We need you to get 100% on the syllabus quiz. So you get 2 attempts to take it. You can cheat on the syllabus test. We don't really care, the quiz. We just want you to remember the things that are on the quiz. So make that happen. And so do that, okay? Syllabus. Not right now, though. Right now, we're just rocking class. So, all right, man. Let's go with, so first thing is, by the way, this is, we live stream the class. We're going to, in a little bit, we're going to show you a video from last semester, just some stuff. We're going to talk about all of this, but just so you know, we set up a bit of a production studio over here in Pond Lab, and we're playing around. We just got the green screen, and we're playing. We're having fun, because if you can't have fun, what's the purpose of being alive? And if education isn't interesting and fun, then what's the purpose of being educated? And so we're learning new things, and so you're going to learn new things, and it's all good, because who knows what this world's going to look like in a few. No, we're all good. Okay, so let's start with the team, man. Let's start with the niche, right? The niche. So let's bring the niche on. So these are some key people that you need to just need to know and need to have a sense of. Niche. Hey, say something about yourself, niche. What are you doing? What are you doing back there, sitting behind all that equipment?
So I'm the person who changes the camera. I'm in charge of talking to Sam if he says something out of pocket. I'm here to just chill out and make sure everything goes good.
Awesome. And you are a comm major.
I am a film major, which is in the College of Comm. You are correct.
And for how long has your hair been purple, by the way?
My hair has been purple for only a couple days, actually.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I dig it.
Who's to say? It might stay purple longer.
Dude, I was going to say it clashes with the blue behind you, but then it kind of doesn't really. It's just like work it out, man. But I'm sure there are probably some color people around here. Color people, not colored people, my friends. Color people who like really are into color. So we might get some suggestions on where you got to go next. Mr. Hamill. And
what's up, everybody?
This is Mr. Hamill here. Jeff, what are you doing?
I am partly watching the live stream go on. I'm listening to it through my headphones, making sure that it looks and sounds decent, watching the Twitch chat here on my other computer. And I'm hearing you all when you want emotes. We'll get there one day, but right now we are not at that point. So
this is a whole new world, man. Nish is the director of the live stream, has been directing the live stream for the past 2 years. And this is just a whole different setup. So for Jeff and Darnisha to put together, and they are awesome, and they've killed it. And but we're still in this, and we're still moving it forward because we're going to do some really creative stuff. Hey, can we bring Jamie on from Maryland? Right? Can you, Jamie? So Jamie works at World in Conversation, and you can hop on quickly and fill us in on what you do, man. And once again, we're rocking with, there we go, man. Yo, Jamie, what's up?
Can I cut?
yeah, go ahead.
You are in, man. Hey, so you're in Maryland now, right?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
And when did you take Social 19 back in the day?
Ooh, we're not going to talk about that.
Wait, it's in decades. Or is it? No, it's still in years, right? It's not,
Let's just say I was part of the village and catalyzed a lot of stuff that we do.
Dude, back in the day. It's decade with a singular, not decades. Yep. Yeah, you were here in the village. If you don't know what the village is, check it out, man. Check out a lot of stuff happened here at Penn State back in 2001. And Jamie was very much a part of this, but work at World in Conversation. Now, and what are you going to do in Social 18? Like, what's your role?
Moderating the chat, making sure I'm not going crazy.
Meaning that, so you can offer some insight right now about people on the chat.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So you don't have to put them in time. What do people do that makes you put them in timeout?
Cause unnecessary discord.
Oh,
Not
right.
just foolishness.
Got you.
Being not inquisitive. Not
being
inquisitive.
Mean.
Yeah, being mean. Just inhumane, unnecessary behavior.
And one of the reasons we have Jamie, she's in this job, is because Jamie, when she was in Penn State years ago, my wife and I called her the hugger. She was a hugger, man, because you hugged everybody. You're like the nice person. So we don't be mean in the chat because Jamie doesn't like that, and she's the nice person, man.
I want to inspire everyone to be respectful and inquisitive. That's all. Just be good people.
Cool, man. Better than what we are. All right. Thanks, Jamie. Hey, Joy, are you are rocking too. So we have somebody else who you're going to meet today because this is all these are all people who you're going to be with. Hey, Joy, are you going to come down here? Are you going to be back? You can stay at your desk. I'll bring you down later. So why don't you just stay at your desk? Yep. Yo, Joy. What's up?
Hi. I'm not seeing myself on the live stream right now.
You are, though.
I'm Joy. I'm also going to be moderating along with Jamie. And if anyone's been paying attention to the slides before the start of class, there's an email that's been popping up that you could email if you'd like to show up live as we are, along with Sam, and volunteer or ask a question. So if you email sam@social19.org, it'll be me, Joy, responding to you. And if everything checks out, you will be on the live stream.
So you will send them a Zoom link, and then they'll dial into Zoom, and they'll be rocking on the stream.
Yep.
And why would they want to do that, Joy?
Well, for me, honestly, I've been thinking about it, how we've transitioned to being virtual. Now, typically, traditionally, in Social 119 and Thomas 100, Sam would normally be running around this giant classroom, sticking a microphone in your face. So you could share your perspective or what it is that you're hearing him say on the given topic. So to do that, so you could share your part in your own words and participate in class. It may be intimidating. I don't know if it'll be less intimidating on this platform. We'll see. It's new to all of us. But just to put things in your own words, and it'll be fun.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Joy. And Joy also works at World in Conversation, and she is also here in Pond, hence but she's in a different office, and hence the mask, friends, the mask. So just in case, because I was riding my bike around town over the weekend, just want to put this out there just because I think I probably should. And I noticed that people on the sidewalks were wearing masks, but I didn't see a single mask at a single gathering that I passed. And I saw a lot of gatherings, my friends. This thing is called a mask, and it really has a role. It's valuable. You put it up to your face like this, you wrap it around your ears, and you're rocking. You'd be amazed at the kinds of awesomeness that this does. The mask actually doesn't do a lot when you're walking down the sidewalk and there's nobody around you. The mask isn't essentially important in those moments. It's important when you're playing beer pong or hanging out at a party with someone else and you're passing beers back and forth and hanging on each other, which I saw a lot of over the weekend, and it was unmasked behavior. That's actually when you need a mask. So I just want to put that out there, just like a public service announcement. All right, let's go, Jeff. Let's go to the. Let me say something about myself, okay? So that's me, actually, right there. And hang on, let me get it. It's the weather person right there. See that on the scar? It's a mole that I had on my face when I was a little kid, and when I was 3.5, we had it removed. Anyway, see that doll right there? That was my Raggedy Ann doll. And notice I'm in pink. That's my dad. My dad was an older dad when I was born. He died when I was 9, by the way. But my mom was also older. My mom was 45. I was the last of 5 kids. And the reason I like to show this slide is because in some ways it predicts, or it sort of says something about the kind of person I was in some ways destined to be, because I'm very much an iconoclast. I don't follow cultural norms in lots of different ways, right? Look, I'm dressed in pink. I have a doll. My parents were really cool with me playing with dolls. They were cool with dressing me in pink. They didn't really care, pink, blue, whatever colors, it was irrelevant. And I grew up with this sense that I could do lots of different things, and I could think lots of different ways, and I could be anything I really wanted to be. And so my father was a little bit more of a, so we were working class, right? Very much working class. And my father was he was a little bit more rigid in his thinking, but he died when I was 9. And so then I was largely on my own, and largely on my own. I mean, I lived with my mom and my brother, who was 2 years older than me, but I really pretty quickly was earning my own money. I was always working. I was doing lots of things. But then when I was 12, but I spent a lot of time just kind of taking care of myself, right? And so I got very mature very quickly. But when I was 12, I discovered marijuana, which really opened my mind to the world, and the world of thinking. You know what I mean? And I realized in that moment, increasingly school was less interesting to me. And what was much more interesting to me was thinking. And I always was kind of aware of, okay, marijuana, some of you like, it's whatever, the devil's weed or whatever the case is. I'm not going to say anything good or bad about anything, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But for me, it opened certain pathways to me, and it started closing doors to formal education, because I realized I could think. I discovered thinking, and I always read. I was a really avid reader, but I could think on my own, and I like to think on my own. But I didn't like school. School was just like this place. It was prison. You know what I mean? It was like boot camp. for little kids. You just go and they ring bells and you got to sit in a circle and they ring a bell again. You have to line up in a line because you got to go to the bathroom, and then they ring the bell again and you have to go do this, and they ring it again and you go do that. I felt like I was a rat in a maze or something. And it was just not really very interesting. But thinking was interesting. And so anyway, for whatever reason, I stopped caring about grades. You know, certain substances have a way of doing that for people, and that can actually be a problem. As some of you know, who are addicts to various substances, because some of you are. That's the nature of it. And so deal with that, right? Like the substance, like stop that stuff, like figure things out on your own. But in any case, for me, I never took a book home in school. Nothing. It was irrelevant, right? I would skip classes and I would sneak down to the library and I would read and that sort of thing, right? But in any case, I started to, after high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I like most people, I had no idea. I was young. How would I know? Like, you're 18 years old. How do you have any idea what you want to do with the rest of your life, right? So I didn't know. But to give you a sense, though, of my background, this is actually an interesting story. I'll tell you, since right now, this is really, you got to get a sense of who I am, right? My mom, so remember, we're working class. My mom was a secretary. And when I graduated high school, she said, so what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. And I painted houses, and I did odd jobs, and I had a lawn cutting service that I had of sorts, you know. And I was a musician. I played music. I played music all through junior high and high school. I said, well, I think I'm going to try music. And I don't know. She said, well, you know, because down at the courthouse, they're offering their jobs open for court stenographers. And court stenographers are those people that sit up by the front of the courthouse, and they type out everything that happens. You know, now it's probably automatic or whatever. Back in the day, they typed it out, right? And so my mom typed and I typed. It's one of the skills I learned in high school, which is pretty awesome. And she said, you know, you type really fast, so this would be a really good job for you. You have good benefits. The pay's okay. The pay is okay if you're from the working class. It's fine, which is fine. It's awesome, right? But it's not like, you know, that's the world I lived in, right? It wasn't the world where you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, you're going to make millions of dollars, you're going to be a CEO somewhere. No, you can be a court stenographer, right? This was it. The ceiling wasn't very high. And so but I didn't do that. And instead I went to college and I dropped out. Every semester I would start with like 16 credits and I would drop them all by the end of the semester. And, you know, and I ended up, after 2.5 years, I was still halfway through my freshman year because I would start and drop so many classes. College was less expensive back then, so it didn't really matter. And I made a lot of money house painting. So it didn't matter to me. But one day I transferred to the community college, a 2-year college. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to get a 4-year degree. I wanted to be an accounting major, right? That was my major in college. But I said, I'm not going to get a 4-year degree, but maybe I can get a 2-year degree, like a business associate's degree. So I started this 2-year community college, and then I started dropping out. And the last day that I really would have dropped out, I went into the library. I was reading this book about sociology. And I said, it was about prisons. And I said, you know what? I could do that. It's the first time in my life I ever had an idea of something that I could do that involved academics. And I called the social work department, because it was a social work book. And I signed up for social work classes, and then I transferred to sociology, and I never looked back. And then I took studying seriously. But I still didn't care about grades. I still didn't care about the accolades, all of that stuff, because when I was in high school, that all got taken out of me because I realized the absurdity of that. It didn't really matter. I was just going to live life, and then I was going to die like everybody else. And these things weren't that important. So I still didn't take any of that really seriously as an undergrad, but I studied literally like 15 hours a day. All I did was study. All I cared about. It's like I couldn't get enough of learning. Everything was important. Everything opened up for me. And so I finished my sociology degree. I went on and I got a 2-year master's degree. And then I went on and got my PhD. So I did my 2 years master at Toledo. I went to school at University of Toledo, and then a 2-year master's also at University of Toledo. And then I went for my PhD at Rutgers University. And then from there I came here. So that's like the roundabout thing. I still don't care about grades. I know that many of you do. And I know that many of you, I don't know, somehow think that the grade's really important. And I guess it is, because I don't know, it's like going to open one door and maybe not another door. And I don't know. I mean, it is. When you get to my age, you realize that these kinds of things don't really matter, because for every door that closes, another one opens. And for every door that opens, another one closes. And we never know what's behind the door that closes or the door that opens. Sometimes a door opens that we really want to have open, and it's our demise. It's like the worst possible thing that could happen. And sometimes the door closes that we really want to have that door open for us, and it closes. It's like, nope, you're not going to be in the honors program, or nope, you're not going to get this job, or nope, you won't have the internship. But only because that door closed, something else really big opens up. And when you get to the point in life where somebody like me is, it's really easy to look backwards and see all those doors opening and closing, and see all the places where the closed door led to something really awesome and the open door led to something not so awesome. But in any case, whatever, you take grades, a lot of you take grades seriously. Good for you. I don't. Yeah, I just don't. I don't know. Whatever. I don't want to talk about that. It's depressing. Okay, so you get a sense of, you get it kind of this is me, right? So I'll talk a little bit more about me in the context of this class, but that's my background, right? So I don't have kids. I live in town. I've lived here for quite a while, but I travel a lot. I'll talk about that in a hot minute. Well, let's talk about 119. Let's go to the next slide. And by the way, get ready. Some of you are going to turn your cameras on in a hot minute. This isn't just me talking. This is day one, but some of you are going to come in. We're going to get this practice going here in a little bit. So I'll explain what the question is that we'd like for some of you to answer. Hang on. Not some of you are we're going to invite some of you into the conversation, into the very first stream. So this is Social 119, race, ethnicity, culture. Race, ethnicity, culture. 50% US issues, 50% global issues. There are so many things that we can talk about in Sociology 119, an infinite number of things. There is an infinite number of groups that we can bring to the table. When we bring class into it, when we bring geography into it, we just like think, for example, I could do a 5-year, I could teach Social 119 every semester for 5 years, and it could be like a 10-part class, right? For 5 straight years, every Tuesday and Thursday, and only talk about Latinos, or only talk about Native Americans, or only talk about Black Americans, or only whatever the case is. There's so many groups. And then when we go out into the world, there's so many issues. And what I find, as someone who's been studying this stuff for 37 years, I've been teaching for 37 years. For 40 years, I've been digging into these issues. I will tell you that everywhere I go in the world, I see similar connecting points, the things that link groups and link issues together all over the world between majority and minority, right? They're unique in the way they play themselves out. So for example, they're unique in the sense of, say like right now, we see Black Lives Matter really emerging in the United States, right? So the issue it has its own unique properties, right? It has its own unique ways in which it's, Black Lives Matter, and the way we're talking about issues connecting Black Americans, African Americans, and even Afro-Caribbean Americans, the way we're linking people together, the way we're talking about is unique right now. But it's also very much, we see a very similar pattern in the history of the United States, and we see a similar pattern when we take the conflict, the race conflict in the U.S. related to, say, Black Americans, and we we layer that on top of conflicts, race and ethnic and cultural conflicts, and around the world, and we see very, very similar realities, sociological realities. And so my job as a sociologist is to talk all about those things. Like, that's what I'm going to do. That's what we do in this class. And we're going to, there's so many issues, and there's so many different groups who we will talk about, and issues that we will talk about. And it's really privileged. There won't be enough time to really cover all the things that we need to cover. But I'm a sociologist who studies groups. I study power. I study relationships between groups based on power. And I've been doing this for 40 years. And I have a lot of things that I see and that are going to be really interesting, or that are going to come out in this class. Hopefully in it's going to be interesting to me. By the way, you should know that. It's all interesting to me. So any one thing or any one of you or whatever may not find something interesting, but it's all interesting to me because these issues are interesting. And not only are they interesting, but they really define people's lives in sometimes very, very profound ways, as we're seeing right now. The movement that we're seeing that started this summer is profound. It's profound, and it's pointing to the fact that these race issues and race inequity and ethnic and cultural issues and ethnic and cultural inequities is profoundly important for understanding the lives of people in this country. It's like, it may not matter to one person, but it matters to another person. It may not matter for the life trajectory of this person over here, but it matters for the life trajectory of this person over here. And so I'm gonna take the task. My role is to make these connections with people, because there is a lot of inequity in this country. And maybe you don't see it. Maybe you don't, maybe you never really look for it. I think back to before I really woke up. I think that 2.5 years into my college, when I woke up that day, I was just kind of meandering through life. I was doing a lot of stuff. I was working. I was a musician. I was trying to make a living as a musician. I was trying to figure my life out, try to pull my head out of my rear end most days. But I wasn't paying attention to a lot of stuff around me. And then one day I started paying attention, and everything started changing. And so you may not see the inequity. You may not see some of the things that we're going to be talking about. You may not understand why it is that people would be out protesting in the street. Past couple of days, it's in Wisconsin, right? Kenosha, Wisconsin. And why it is, why do people, what's going on? What are people talking about? Well, that's what this class is about, to really put it out there and have an understanding, develop an understanding of those things, okay? From multiple perspectives, from very different perspectives. All right, so we will go there. Can we just put this map up really fast? And when I say very different perspectives, what I want to, put the map up, Jeff. I want to just show you this. So one of the things that about me that I think it's important to know, probably valuable to know, is when I was 20 years old, I made my first trip out into an area where people did not speak English, and I went to French-speaking Canada, and in that moment, I just turned 20. In that moment, things were like, whoa, okay, life. I just saw things really, really differently as a result of that. I mean, just to walk down the street and have everything in French and have everybody speaking in French, it just opened my mind. And the next year, then that school year, I started studying Spanish, and I realized, hey, I could speak Spanish if I really work at this. And so I took it really seriously, and I started worked really hard. And then I went to Spain right there and did a study abroad in Madrid when I was 21. And in that moment, when I stepped off the subway into the Plaza del Sol on a Sunday afternoon, I said to myself, I will always save my money, spend my money wisely, and do whatever I need to do to travel. This is going to be part of my life, and I'm going to build travel into my life. And it's not for everybody, right? Some people don't really like to travel, and it's fine. But it is part of my life. So everything in blue here, these are all countries that that I have visited and been to for one reason or another. Not visited like a tourist visit. I don't think I've ever actually visited a country as a tourist, in the sense like I went, to go to a resort or something like that. But the issue is that. But many of these countries I've been to multiple times, like in the Middle East, like in Qatar. I've been to Qatar probably 10 times, Ecuador probably 10 times. I did research in Ecuador, Ireland 4 times, Spain probably 4 times, Ethiopia a couple times. My wife and I have an apartment in Colombia, in Bogota, so we go there a lot. Russia, France. I mean, so many. India 3 times. Just so many places, right? And I say this because I have an orientation to this world right here. There's so much happening out in the world, and that we will take a lot of this stuff that's happening out in the world and we'll bring it into Social 18, and then we'll layer it on top of U.S. issues, stuff that's happening here, to make these connections so that help all of us to really understand how this is, not only is it a global space, but sociology is an operation everywhere we turn. The sociological factors and forces that are in play. Inequity, most principally inequity. So there are a lot of people who watch the live stream from other countries and they'll visit. There are people watching right now from other countries, and we'll bring them into the stream and have them talk about life. But there are quite a number of folks who will be part of that. So anyway, I wanted to put that up there just so you kind of get a sense of this is kind of the nature of how we operate. So yeah, it's just, and like those of you who have lived abroad. So I've lived abroad for several years of my life in different countries, right, for long extended periods of time. And it's like, it changes you. It just changes you. So, but we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay. So let's watch, we're going to show you a video. This is a short trailer that Jeff threw together a couple of years ago, I think, using some of the footage from class. And this is kind of what class is normally like in 100 Thomas, right? So you just can feel it, right? Because this is very different what's going to happen here this semester. So I don't know, go ahead and play that, and then we'll. So listen, this is a very different world that we're in, my friends. But here's what's going to happen. We can't do that, right? So here we are in, typically in 100 Thomas, we have 5 cameras around the room. We're bringing people in on the stream. People are coming down on the front. We have, 4 microphones. People are talking. We got all sorts of stuff happening. And you think, oh my God, we don't have that. It's like, what a drag, but it's actually an opportunity. We have an opportunity right now to do something that is really creative and interesting. And the opportunity is to find a way, to build a way to take this class in this stream on Twitch, right? To take this class and take this stream and make it interactive and dynamic, and bring in as much, or generate as much participation from you all as we possibly can. Meaning, let me say that again, from you all as we possibly can. And so instead of saying, hey, I'm going to get up out of my seat and walk down to the front and hold a microphone, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump on, I'm going to turn my camera on, and I'm going to join the stream. And there are all sorts of things that we can do, ways we can make this happen. And we will shift it up as we go along. We're in the very beginning stages. Darnisha and Jeff are geniuses at this. We're all learning, right? We got it. We're all just learning. But what is valuable is, and what makes social, in my estimation, what makes Social 119, I don't know what sort of shapes the class, I guess, would be volunteers, would be students. People, when I think about the class, I think, well, it's voices, right? It's hearing other people. This is what I learned from students, because everything that I know, every idea I have about the world and about cultures and about whatever, I've learned from somebody else, and none of my ideas just come out of the blue. I learn when I sit down and I speak to some waiter, in Iraq, or I speak to some taxi driver in Ethiopia, or I say whatever it is, right? I'm learning from other people, and I'm learning from students. You all have a lot to teach me, and you have a lot to teach one another. And so the key is to get us all to make that happen on the stream, and we're going to use technology as best we can to make that happen. And I think we can do some really, really cool things. And we have our class mascot right here. And so the class mascot can make it happen. And so that's the volunteers. The other thing we do, what we call these things, these activities, case studies. And the case studies is we want to look at some issue related to Sociology 119. And, we want to, I don't know, maybe it would just be like hair or something, or speech patterns. And so maybe we would bring people down to the front, and people would talk. We maybe have a conversation about speech patterns and different ancestry groups or something, right? So we can do that here. We can have volunteers, because as you all, and you have these cameras and you have microphones, and we can do the case studies. We'll come up with the case studies, and we will do them right here on the stream. We'll make it happen in this technology. So I'm actually quite looking forward to it. But what it means is that y'all, it's part and parcel of you being willing to turn the camera on. And about this, I want to say one thing really important. The class is never about, nor has it been about, gotcha moments. Like there's no way in which me, for example, for sure, even I'm interested in making people look bad or silly or being embarrassed or something like that. Like that's how television operates, in like reality television and all that kind of nonsense. It's like, it's just filled with gotcha moments. Like, it's like, we look at how we were able to kind of somehow make fun of this person, and they started talking about some issue and they stumbled over it, and like, ha ha ha, this and that. But that's not what we do in this class, man. That it's not at all what it's about. So it's not about, it's really is about learning together and learning in an environment that really is supportive and as much as possible really non-judgmental, because not everybody knows everything, right? I don't know everything. I don't know every some, we have this idea that some people have this idea, I don't know, like they're always pointing fingers and making fun at other people, like not always, but often, right? Making fun, like, oh, that person's like so ignorant, or that person's so stupid, or that person doesn't know this, or how do you not know that? In the gay community, we don't use that word anymore. It's like, well, maybe I don't know it because I don't know it. Like, I don't know. These things are happening so fast that like you got to learn so many things to stay up on all that's going on, right? And so some people like to, I don't know, have this way, I don't know, makes them somehow feel better than somebody else, right? Or they think they know everything about the world, or it's like it's all about their issue, or it's like it's all about inequality, right? It's so much about inequality, let's say, like, and they're always talking about inequality, but then maybe they don't look backwards and see the ways in which they're standing and they're reproducing inequality. Like just being an American, just living in the United States, just attending Penn State, we are participants in a great deal of institutional inequity that sends its energy out into the world. But it's really easy to pretend like we don't see that because we're really focused on our own little issue. So that's what we're going to do in all of these activities, right? And everybody will get challenged. This isn't a class where just some people get challenged. Everybody is going to get challenged in one way, shape, or form, myself included. So anyway, case studies, cool. So let's do the first one, and we could throw the question up. So we want to bring a few people in on the stream. Like, what question would you like to have answered by the end of the semester? Think about all of the issues surrounding race, ancestry, ethnicity, culture in the US, globally, all of the issues, right? What question would you like to have answered by the end of the semester? And all you got to do is just send a quick email there, and then we'll bring you in on Zoom. And once you're on Zoom, you can turn Twitch off because you will be able to hear the stream, everything that's happening. Once we, am I right, Jeff? That's right, right? And so, and then we'll just put you in the waiting room, and then we'll bring you on, and then you can ask your question. Okay? So we have enough time. We're going. By the way, we always go to 10 till 6, my friends. We start at 4:20 every day. Darnisha, why do we start at 4:20 every day? Because the class is blazing. So we end at 5:50 every day. So that's what Darnisha said. I'm just following her, man. All right. So anyway, Sam at social19.org. That'll go to Joy, who will then send you the link to Zoom, and then we'll go. But in the meantime, why don't we go back up to why don't we go to the goal? Take it. Jeff, can you put that last slide up while we're waiting for some folks? Hey, by the way, so I want to show you this. This is what I look like. Look at that earring, man. Look at right there, man. Look at that peace sign. That's what I look like when I started teaching at Penn State when I started teaching Social 19 in 1991. I started at Penn State in 1990. Look at that. Look at that. God.
Somebody said John Lennon. Is that you?
Dude, yeah, it's
or
John
Jesus.
Lennon,
White Jesus.
No, it's white Jesus, my friends. When I was actually in Ecuador, so I would travel around. So I did research on the Catholic Church, and on my doctoral research was on the Catholic Church, and I travel around with priests, and sometimes I go to really remote communities, and super remote communities where they rarely see anybody coming into the community besides the priest, right? Because we would go to like the end of the road, and then we'd get on a horseback, and we'd ride on the horse for like 5 hours or something, right? And many people never saw a white person. And so, but the depiction of Jesus is always as the white guy, right? The white Jesus, because that's just how we roll, right? I don't know what that is, but no, I know what it is. It's called white supremacy, dudes. That's essentially what it is. It's white supremacy, but more on that later. But in any case, I would show up looking like that, and I'd have, like my satchel and stuff. And a couple times people would say to the priest, Padrecito, Padrecito, es él? Es él? And then they were thinking that I was Jesus, because that was the image that they saw. And they all knew that Jesus was going to come again, as Christians believe. And so they had the idea that I was Jesus. And I blessed a few. I'm not going to say I didn't bless a few people in my time. It's all good. Padre, Hijo, y Espíritu Santo. Okay. So, but the goal since 1990, my goal as a teacher is to get people to think. Every time they leave the room, I want to confuse them as much as possible, first off, because if you're not confused, you have no idea what's going on. And then if you are confused, you have to try to figure things out on your own. Okay. And that's really good. And that's really valuable. And because you got to figure it out on your own. We're all figuring stuff out on our own now. And so if you're not confused, you don't know what's going on. And everyone has something to be confused about. You know, we have something to learn. Like, so when people leave the room, I want them arguing with me in some way, right? So something I said just challenges them to think about something. Maybe they're conservative and I said something that challenged their conservative beliefs. Maybe they're really liberal and I said something that challenged their liberal beliefs, or whatever it is. But I want them arguing with me, because if I get you arguing with me, then that means that you're thinking, and I want you thinking outside the classroom. And that's my goal. It's not to change. It is to change the way you think. I want to change the way everybody thinks, but not to any particular way of thinking. I just want to get you to change the way you think, because that's what education is. Think. If you can be more liberal, you can be more conservative, none of it. What matters is that we think and we are transformed. And I have this radical idea that when people think, and they think for themselves, and they think in really authentic ways, not only will they be a better person, but society will be better as a result of it. And most of the bad stuff that happens in society happens because people aren't thinking. So that's been my goal. It's always been my goal. And I am really fascinated by wanting to put that forward. So that's what we will do here. And we'll talk about everything, put everything out. Hey, so I want to go back to, can you put the email back up? I see we have Kyra, but a couple questions, man. Thus far, we want to get a few people coming into the stream with some questions. So right there, my friends. But let's go with the first person. Let's make it happen. Yo, what's happening?
Am I on?
You are on, my friend.
All right, cool. I don't have the Twitch up anymore, so I can't tell. So I guess, so first of all, I wanted to say, I saw videos of you when I was in high school, and I've wanted to take this class ever since, but I could never get into it. And now I'm a senior, so I really wanted to participate. But anyway, so something that I find interesting, something that I'm sort of studying in some other classes, is cross-cultural adoption, and how like we Americans tend to adopt from countries that they think are like poorer or like have worse conditions. For example, adoptions from Asia happen a lot. Adoptions from Africa and particularly Eastern Europe as well. There's some like cross-cultural adoption issues. So that's something that I would be interested in learning about.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, I'm going to kick something out to you really fast. But first off, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Kira or Kyra?
Kira.
Kira. Okay. Hey, so what leads you to ask to be interested in this? Like, it's just a random question you have, or is there something that?
I don't know. I think it's interesting. It's something that I've been talking about for a few semesters now. I've taken a few classes. This semester, I'm in a class about family and marriage.
Got you.
So we were just talking about this issue today. But then also last year, I had a few classes where we were talking about like how sometimes when international kids are adopted, the American parents will change their name. And so then there's a whole thing about the power of names and reclaiming your name as you grow up.
All right, very cool. Okay, well, so I think it's a really fascinating question, and you are right that many people, I would say, people in more developed countries are often willing to or see it as like kind of an act of, I don't know, just a positive act, right, to reach out into the world and offer an opportunity, especially in the United States, right? We have this kind of sense of we're wanting to offer opportunities to people. And so it's like, hey, we can, let me do that. Like, let's just reach out and touch a life, right? And see what we can make happen. And so the issue is that hey, by the way, is there anyone in class who has been adopted cross-culturally? Because it would be really interesting to just take this as an opportunity to hear something from you. But it's a really complex issue. Yeah, it's really complex. So, and by the way, the reason I asked you about what's behind the questions, because usually what I find as a sociologist is that what's often behind I don't just come up with questions like in a dream. I come up with questions for me because I meet somebody, my neighbor, or this person, or a student or somebody, right, who just instigates like some kind of questioning process in me. So oftentimes when somebody like you would just have a question that comes out of the blue like this, because maybe your roommate or, somebody, right? That's the reason I asked that, which is awesome, man. That's the foundation of this. Okay, very cool. I will make sure that we do that. Maybe what we'll do is we'll have a conversation with people in class who have been adopted. This would be awesome and valuable. So thanks for that, Kira. Hey, so Jeff, one quick thing. Just so you know, for those of you who are going to hop on the stream is like 15 seconds behind Zoom. So anytime you get in and you get out, you might feel confused by that. So listen, if someone isn't turning their camera on, someone can put a question in the chat. And part of what we're learning here, by the way, if I could say, is we're going to learn the kinds of things that we can do in this environment. In class, it's really pretty easy for me to, not easy, but it's easier for people in class to be willing to volunteer, because you just raise your hand and you come down to the front, or you stay at your seat and you talk. And here, there's a little bit more that needs to happen, meaning that you have to turn your camera on and you have to make things happen. So the bar is a little bit higher. So what's going to happen in this first week or so is we're just going to assess the degree to which you all are willing to be participatory in this class in a way that we can really push things forward and move things forward. Or that we can it's going to determine how creative we're going to be able to be in here, because our creativity is going to be moved forward or limited by the ability or the degree to which people want to hop in, right? And so maybe I could ask. So hang on one second.
We got some questions for you.
All right, go ahead, man.
Some people are asking about attendance and grading. I'm assuming it's on the syllabus, but people haven't read it yet.
It's all on the syllabus, man.
Yeah.
It's all there. So here's the way attendance rocks. I will say this, but I'm only going to say this and then I want another question. So find another one on the stream.
Yep, I got you.
All right, man. So here's the attendance question. We made an agreement with Penn State when Penn State said, hey, we're going to offer classes, and our large classes are going to go up on Zoom, or in our case, Twitch. What's going to happen is you need to do them synchronously, meaning that people need to meet at a given time and in a room, in a space. So typically that would be 100 Thomas for this class, but now here it is on our channel on Twitch. And so you, Sam Richards, are agreeing to do that if you offer this class. And I say, yeah, I'm going to agree to do that. And so that's why we're here. And so we've got all these videos. You could just watch the videos at any time, like whenever you feel like it, but that's not the agreement. The agreement with Penn State is, no, we're going to offer a synchronous class. So with that in mind, at the end of every class, because how are we going to know if you're here, there's a participation quiz that happens that will be really easy to ace. And you got to get 5 questions, and you got to get 4 questions right out of 5. And they're going to be really easy if you're paying attention. And so But 4 times throughout the semester, you don't need to watch the class live. You can watch the class whenever you want and still take the participation quiz. So 4 times for 2 weeks out of the semester, you can do that. And here's the syllabus, my friends. So it's really easy. Go to it, find it, and read all about that. But don't do it right now because we're still rocking and rolling here. All right, man. Do you have another question, my friend?
Oh, I do. Also, your wife wants to know if she wants to join, or if you want her to join. And we also have.
Does Lori want to join?
She asked me if we could.
All right, bring her on, man.
All right. Well, here's Chris. Before
All right,
we get
Chris.
to her. Momentarily while he joins.
All right, my wife.
All right, Chris.
Hang on, y'all. We're rocking and rolling. I don't see Chris, just so you know, my friend.
Here he is.
All right. Chris, what's up? Dude, you are on.
Hi. So my question was, do you think people in America today are more or less personally responsible than they were like in the past?
Are more personally responsible. What do you mean personally responsible for what?
Like, do they blame bad things that happen on like things that aren't themselves, or do they blame like bad things that happen to them on themselves?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I actually had wow, dude, that's an awesome question, man. We can definitely answer that. Yeah, that's a really cool question. What leads you to ask that? Like, what's your?
I mean, I'm definitely more of a conservative person, so I usually view things from like a personal responsibility kind of way. But like a lot of my friends are liberal, so they usually look at things that like kind of like I don't know, like less. I don't know what the opposite of personal responsibility would be, but like in that kind of way.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think that we will definitely dig into this because this is really in so many ways at the core of understanding inequity. And it's really at the core of understanding not only inequity, but how we talk about inequity and how we're able to have conversations and dialogues about inequity. So, when you take something like, Black Lives Matter, right? Like, let's go to that as an example. It's like, look, the argument, the fundamental core of the argument that people are making and have been making, not just Black Americans, but people who are really behind these issues, is not about, it's about fairness of opportunity, fundamentally fairness of opportunity. And it's about addressing all of the obstacles to get in the way from making things fair and reasonable and building opportunities into people's lives, right? So it just is coming up all the time, this particular question. So, dude, we will rock it. We will move forward on that. Yeah. And it is one of those divides between conservatives and liberals that if people really understood the sociological take on it, how to frame that and how to understand it, people would be so much more capable of talking to one another in reasonable ways because we're not really very far apart. Yeah. And by the way, most people take personal responsibility for their lives. Yeah. By far and away, most people. Yeah. I remember. Okay. Is that good, man?
Yeah, no, I feel like that's good.
Yeah, you got to have ways, because I'll give you some ways to argue with your liberal friends, and I'll give you some pointers that you could tell them that they could argue with you. Right? Yeah. To strengthen both sides of the argument, man. That'll make you a better thinker.
Yeah.
All right, man. Hey, where are you at, by the way? In State College?
Yeah, I'm in Penn State right now.
Yeah, cool.
In my room.
All right, man. Thanks for asking.
Yep.
Jeff, what do we got?
We also have Grant.
All right, man.
Hey, what's up, Sam? How you doing?
Yo, I'm rocking and rolling, man. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there. It's the least I can do. So obviously this course deals with very sensitive and tough topics for some people.
Uh-huh.
And when people want to talk about them, they're either seen as taboo or they kind of can escalate to a conversation that can become almost violent or kind of argumentative. How do you think that we can have that dialogue peacefully or even have it at all?
Okay, that's your question. Awesome, man. This whole class will be an exercise in answering that question. Yeah, by far and away. I mean, what we're going to do all semester is walk through all of these really touchy issues, really delicate issues, hot button issues, and we're going to do it in a way that really makes sense. So, dude, we got it, man. You're just going to watch it live as it unfolds.
Yeah.
That's
all right.
cool.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dude. Yeah, thanks, man. Where are you at? In State College?
No, I'm back at home. I'm from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
West side's the best side of the state.
Dude, that's what I hear, man. That's what they on the west side of the state. That's what they say. But
West side,
whatever.
best side.
Darnisha said you want to fight.
All right. All right.
Got that Philly game in here.
All right, bro. Be well.
All right, take care.
All right, man. Hey, by the way, so there's 3 white people that just showed up on the stream. Do we have anybody else who's not white that wants to pose a question? I just want to point that out. So we got another white person here, Dr. Mulvey. Yeah.
Yeah, is it my turn?
It is your turn, man. Wife.
I was actually thinking there's a lot of white people here.
Dude, there are. Well, actually, though, look, Darnisha, Joy, Jamie, So there we go. What do you got, man? Do you have a question or do you have a comment?
I have a lot of things, but really what I was trying to do was I was picturing myself as a student, and wait a second. So should I be muting my?
No, you're good.
Okay. All right. So I decided that it would be really, if I were a student, I would be really curious about how to do this and worried that I wouldn't be able to do it okay. And I would be kind of nervous. So
you mean about jumping on the stream?
Yeah, getting on the stream.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I probably would too. I don't know like how open I would. It's like kind of Zoom. It's one thing to be on Zoom. Yeah, and I don't know. What would you be nervous about?
I would be nervous about exactly what's happening right now, which is that I'm hearing your voice and my voice like 3 different times. And it's really hard to actually be in a conversation with you. And I'm guessing this is kind of a problem.
Do you have earphones in?
I certainly do have earphones in.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll work that out. We'll work on it. But what else? What else would you be worried about content-wise?
Well, no, I don't think I'm not worried about the content as much. I feel like it's very, again, this is happening with the echo is just incredible.
Well, that's all right. Take your earphones
Check
out.
Twitch.
Yeah.
If you have Twitch open, it'll still be.
I don't know if I'm going to hear you, but the point is, it's not so hard to get on. So I want anybody who is a student to know it's actually really easy. And if you're not having that kind of feedback, reverberation, it probably would be really cool to talk this way. And so I was just wanting to do this as a way to just kind of break the ice for people who, like me, were kind of feeling interested, but felt a little bit shy to do it. So I still feel that way. But anyway.
Okay.
But I do have a question.
So I have a question for you, if you could say, what do you think the class needs to know about me? As someone who's known me for longer than is probably good for your health and mental well-being.
that from when I met you in 1986, the reason that I started talking to you was because I was so tired of hearing you contradict yourself. It just annoyed me so much. And so as they're going to hear you what seems like contradicting yourself, and that can sound like you're actually not being authentic. But what I've learned over the years is that you like to just actually throw out lots of different ideas and test out lots of different ideas and then see where they go. I just know that when I first met you, I just found it like I couldn't understand, and it made it hard to trust you. But now I understand that you're just actually trying out a lot of ideas. So if people knew that they could expect you not to actually have a singular argument, that might help them to just kind of follow you in all these different directions.
Awesome. Okay, awesome. Yeah, because part of what I see myself doing is, you know what I said earlier, confusing people, right? I mean, I'm going to come at it. Well, number one, I'm going to come at this from lots of different perspectives. So I'm going to take one angle one day and another angle, and in the middle of a sentence, I will change my argument because
I know this well.
Yeah. So, but the idea is that I want people thinking, right? I want the challenge. I want to move things forward in ways that, that's my job as a teacher, right? So, yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks for letting me join.
Dude, thanks for being part of it.
See you soon.
All right. I will see you. All right. What do we got, man? Hey, we got another question on Zoom, I think. We have someone who just called in.
We have a question that was given to us
All right.
via, well, for me it was Slack, but it was email. I would like to know why Africans were chosen to be slaves. If it was just white supremacy, then why didn't all non-Europeans and all non-light-skinned people become slaves?
Oh, man. Well, number one is because you have to imagine, first off, people have been slaves throughout history, right? So when you say why Africans were chosen to be slaves, people all over the world. Slavery is one of the oldest institutions in the world, institutions of human inequity and relationships. So we see slavery all over the world and all throughout history. And so it is one of the oldest forms of oppression that we can imagine, right? So there was lots of slavery in Europe. There was lots of slavery in Africa. There was lots of slavery in Asia. There was lots of slavery in lots of places. It's just that the transatlantic slave trade took slavery to another level entirely. And the Europeans didn't choose Asians, for example, because it just was impossible. It's not like today where you could just sail a boat over to the port of a southern port in China and bring slaves back to the Americas. It's like you got to go with you go with the trade routes and the shipping routes that are really most, quote, economical. So that's one of the reasons for Africans. But mind you, there are many white, we called it an indentured servitude of white Europeans being slaves as well. But that was just but that was on a much smaller scale. So Africans, because there was already this unequal relationship of trade back and forth with Africa, and then you need a rationale to dehumanize someone, to enslave them at the level at which Europeans did that to Africans, which was being slaves in perpetuity, not being slaves, indentured servitude. Is like, well, you're going to be a slave. We're going to use these Slavs and we're going to bring them to the United States and we're going to make them slaves for a certain amount of time, but then they can escape their servitude. But with what they realized was they don't need that. They need slaves in perpetuity. They need people who would be slaves forever. And so Europeans could use race, could use the physical differences of race as the foundation upon which they can enslave people forever. So that's how Africans really, the slave trade emerged in that way. All right, dude. So who do we have? We got
more questions too.
All right, man.
Let's bring them up.
Oh, wait, I answered that question. Wait, I wasn't supposed to answer questions. I was supposed to just, oh man, my bad. All right, bro. kick your question out. Oh, Eagles. All right. This is the eastern part of the state. All right, man. You're on, bro. What's up? Go ahead, man. Nicholas.
Cool. I was just curious, are we going to be covering any white privilege or privilege in general? Questions like why we label it, is it necessary? If it is necessary, why? Different questions like that.
Totally, Mom. Totally. The whole unpacking the concept of white privilege and what that means and what it doesn't mean and how it's misused and how people use it in ways where they shouldn't use it, and how when people don't use it in places where they should use it. Yeah, totally, Mom. Yeah, we will absolutely be rocking into that. And I realize we only have a minute left. Dude, thanks, man. We're going to move on to the next person. Awesome. And we have Carolina. Go ahead, Carolina.
Hi.
What's your question? We have 2 more questions, everybody, and then we're going to cut the stream. All right.
All right. I wrote down that I would like to know in this class of ways that societies can teach people cultural tolerance, so we can avoid types of discrimination between a very culturally diverse environment.
Yeah.
Like the US,
Yep.
where it's very culturally diverse, or other countries where they have really religious race issues.
Yeah.
I don't know, like India, that had to be all separated because of very big issues, how ways to
Dude. Yep, totally.
teach people how to live with each other, I guess.
We will do, the whole class will be an experiment in that as best as it possibly can be. So, yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks. Awesome question. No, this is very cool. Thanks. Awesome question.
Thank you.
Hey, come back on the stream at some point. Hey, Cecilia, why don't we take Cecilia, why don't we start the next class out with some people? We're going to do a what do you know piece. And what if we start with Cecilia? Is that cool? And because we're going to cut right now because hang on, Cecilia, jump on the screen really fast. And I'm going to.
It says connecting to audio, so I'm not sure if she's here.
Yeah, she might have some audio issues. I was getting ready to email her, but I can hold off. We also have a lot more emails. Sure, they're watching, so maybe I don't need to respond.
All right, so listen, man. Here's what we're gonna do. Next class we're gonna cut right now. We got 30 seconds, so follow me out.
Oh, she's here.
Yeah, she wanted to talk about the experience of cross-cultural adoption.
Oh man, hang on. We're gonna start with you next class. All right, cool. All right, man. So listen, my friend here. Here's what's up. You ready? This is Auxiliadora, by the way. I have no idea how Auxiliadora got her name, but she did.
You want the purple hair?
We're gonna do the this is what's called What Do You Know? And we're gonna invite people. We're gonna invite people on, and I'm gonna ask them a question. Ask you all a question. We're just to see what you know about particular topics. Okay, like what do you know? What do you know? Just what do you know? We're gonna put it out there, and we're just gonna kind of get a sense of what people have an idea about. Okay, that's next class. In the meantime, read the syllabus. And
is there a quiz?
What's that?
Is there a quiz?
There is no quiz today, and we're going to do a test quiz on Thursday, just so you kind of get a sense of the kinds of questions we're gonna ask. But today there's no quiz. All right, y'all. Peace out. Be well. Wear your masks. Wear your masks. Don't forget. Right. Wear your masks right here. Got it? Wait, hang on. There you go. Wear them proudly and loudly. All right, see you. Peace.